I'm aware that the expression, the Easter of St. Francis, is one that we've probably already heard a lot, and we're certainly going to hear a lot more in this coming year as we mark 800 years since the death of St. Francis. I've got to be honest, personally, I'm not a big fan of the expression. Besides, obviously, that the resurrection is unique to the person of Jesus Christ, the expression kind of inclines us, if we apply it to Francis, to want to sit by the tomb waiting for him to rise again and take up his ministry once more and continue his remarkable life and activity. But the trouble is that that's a rather sentimental response, and it can incline us just to sit there and let Francis do all the work. It makes us stay in the 13th century, and it kind of cripples our own Franciscan creativity. According to some of the earlier biographers, Francis's last words to us were, "I have done my part. May Christ give you the grace to do what is yours." Francis himself acknowledged that he'd done his part of the story and it was coming to an end, and that from now on it was for us to do something, for us to go out and do what is ours to do. And the best way that we can be faithful to that injunction from Francis and to answer our own Franciscan calling is to keep the spirit of Francis and his vision alive, and do it in the world by going out, being part of that world, and creating this Franciscan experience. There's always be some who are keen to follow Francis as best they can and his spirit by acting like Francis, dressing like Francis, and living just as he did in the 13th century. And they care for lepers, living in austere poverty, and they perpetuate this, as best they can, the simple early life of Francis. It's inspiring and impressive stuff, and I wish them all the best. But I'd argue, however, that those that want to pursue the life of St. Francis are called to be followers of him in this world and in this time. It's to ask the question, how might Francis act if he were here in our world now? Most of us are not going to encounter any lepers in our own lifetime. But we will, however, meet people who are on the outer, whom Francis, as he put it, found bitter to look upon. The refugees, the destitute, those of other cultures and traditions like Muslims, who are ostracized by those around them, who are treated as less in communities. Our place is by their side, wherever that happens to be, and to bring love and to be faithful to Francis and to give expression to his values of care and community. Reflecting this year on Francis's death prompts us to ask ourselves how best we can follow courageously in Francis's footsteps and to do what is ours to do. But of course, we need to ask, well, what is ours to do? How might we best follow in the footsteps of Francis? And that doesn't mean repeating what he did in 1226. It means doing what he might do today. Even so, that's a tricky thing to do. In our Easter season, we hear at the readings at Mass at present that Christ warned his disciples that he must leave them. Otherwise, the Holy Spirit will not come. The Holy Spirit that will infuse and excite those same apostles hiding in the upper room so that they go out and proclaim the good news that God is with us. In like fashion, the women who come to the tomb are warned by the angels, "Why are you here looking for the living among the dead?" We have to move out of the experience of 1226 in the tomb. Our place isn't there waiting beside the dying Francis. It's to go out. Our place is to follow those early disciples and those early Franciscans and start proclaiming the good news in the world around us. God is amongst us and love conquers all. And that's a long way, I suppose, for me to be saying, I'm happy that Francis is dead. And I'd love for the rest of us to be happy that Francis is dead. We run the risk otherwise of ending up kind of like Miss Faversham from Great Expectations, the little lady sitting in her wedding dress, locked in a room, never going outside, waiting for a future that will never come and a past that will never repeat. We're better to follow the example of those Franciscans who went before us and who were courageous enough to follow Francis and to go to new places and run new risks and be daring. They travelled the length of the world, coming even as far as Australia, and setting up schools for the poor, the needy, and to give people a chance at a better life. But for them, most of us wouldn't be here today. So it's okay to let Francis die. It's okay to add to his tradition and to take it further in new ways, among new peoples, in a new time. Rather than waiting for an Easter for St. Francis, let's instead work to rise once again that same spirit that moved and inspired Francis and his followers. Our place is not lingering forever at the tomb. Francis urged us instead to turn to the dawn and behold the rising of brother sun. We're to go out and to do what is ours to do.